What if I told you that one of the most massive digital transformations of the last decade didn't happen in some Silicon Valley software lab, but actually right inside your closet? As a tech analyst, I'm always looking for those rare companies that fundamentally disrupt their industries by totally rewiring how information flows. And today we're looking at how a single company built a $100 billion fashion empire, not by designing better clothes, but by turning speed and data into an absolute weapon. Welcome to this explainer on the SHEIN algorithm. Now, to really understand the scale of this disruption, we've got to start with a massive paradigm shift. Think about this for a second. What if one company could design, manufacture, and sell a brand new piece of clothing in just 10 days? In the traditional fashion world, even fast-moving companies like Zara need weeks, and legacy brands, they often need months just to get a concept from a sketchbook onto a store rack. It's a notoriously slow, cumbersome pipeline. But 10 days. That is the digital velocity pipeline we're dealing with here. Okay, let's dive into this because this single metric, 10 days, is literally the engine behind a business model unlike anything the retail industry had ever seen. To grasp exactly how they pulled this off, we're going to break the whole model down step by step. We'll start with the legacy analog system, move into agile digitization, check out the speed machine, look at distributed network marketing, discuss the system externalities, and finally, land on the ultimate digital transformation lesson. All right, Section 1, the legacy analog system, or as I like to think of it, fashion as hardware. You see, for decades, the global fashion industry basically operated like old-school hardware manufacturing. It was incredibly rigid, slow, and honestly prone to some massive inefficiencies. The old formula was pure guesswork. Designers would have to predict what customers might want months in advance, manufacture millions of pieces, ship them all over the world, and basically cross their fingers. If they guessed wrong, warehouses just filled up with unsold inventory and companies lost millions of dollars. Fashion was essentially high-stakes gambling. But the SHEIN algorithm replaces all that guesswork with real-time, data-driven decisions. So instead of seasonal bulk, they rely on these hyper-focused small batches produced in less than 10 days. Which brings us to Section 2, agile digitization, the real paradigm shift here. SHEIN fundamentally asked a totally different question. Why guess what customers want when the internet will tell you exactly what they want in real time? Right? Every click, every search, every social media post and trending style, it's not just noise. To them, it is highly actionable manufacturing data. They applied all of this to a concept called agile manufacturing. By replacing mass production guesswork with small batch runs driven by real-time customer data, they drastically reduce waste and lower their financial risk. In a very real way, SHEIN operates far more like a software-as-a-service company, pushing out continuous software updates to its users rather than a traditional clothing manufacturer shipping physical goods. And this brilliantly illustrates their continuous algorithmic feedback loop. Step 1 is test. Instead of making 100,000 shirts, SHEIN starts with a micro batch, sometimes just 50 or 100 items. Step 2 is learn. They monitor the internet feedback, the clicks, they add to carts, the analytics. Then step 3, scale. If customers love it, boom, the algorithm triggers the factories to mass produce it instantly. But if the data shows it's a dud, they stop production immediately and move right on to the next design. Moving right along to Section 3, the speed machine and designing for app urgency. Now, once you have this 10-day data-driven pipeline humming along, the sheer volume of output fundamentally alters consumer psychology and behavior. While traditional legacy brands release a new collection every season, maybe, 4 times a year, SHEIN is releasing thousands of new products every single day. Just let that staggering daily release metric sink in for a second. Thousands. This isn't just about offering variety, it's a highly calculated psychological trigger. By dropping thousands of items daily, the app creates this permanent state of always something new. Every single time a user opens the application, the inventory has refreshed. It creates this massive urgency and curiosity. You aren't just visiting the store when you happen to need a winter coat. You're opening the app while waiting in line for coffee just to see what the algorithm has generated today. It guarantees an incredibly high digital refresh rate that keeps the user hooked, always coming back for more. Next up, Section 4, distributed network marketing, or influencer-driven growth. Because, let's be real, producing thousands of items doesn't matter at all if nobody knows they exist. Traditional marketing has always relied on a massive bottleneck, a few highly paid celebrities, super expensive television commercials, and huge centralized costs. It's a classic broadcast model. Well, SHEIN bypassed this entirely for network marketing. By sending outfits out to thousands of micro-influencers globally, they created a decentralized, hyper-targeted web of content. This army of smaller voices successfully introduced the brand to millions of shoppers around the world, and they did it for an absolute fraction of the traditional cost.
All right, Section 5, System Externalities, where this rapid growth meets intense scrutiny.
Look, a system that scales this rapidly on a global level does not operate in a vacuum. This kind of hypergrowth has naturally brought intense scrutiny. Over the years, SHEIN has faced investigations and debates related to labor conditions within its vast manufacturing network, intellectual property disputes regarding its rapid-fire design process, the massive environmental impact of disposable fast fashion, and overall supply chain transparency. Now, in response to these external pressures, the company has stated that it's actively working to improve transparency, strengthen supplier oversight, and address the specific concerns being raised by regulators and stakeholders. Regardless of where you stand on the issue, these friction points and regulatory debates are an undeniable and critical part of the company's story and its future operations.
And finally, Section 6, the ultimate digital transformation lesson, why this is way more than just a brand.
So the crucial point is this. If you only look at SHEIN as a place that sells cheap shirts, you're honestly missing the entire business architecture. They didn't just build a brand. They built a comprehensive system. Fast data feeds directly into fast production, which is then pushed by fast marketing, which generates fast feedback, and that loops right back into fast data. Every single component perfectly reinforces the others. The result wasn't simply a fashion label. It became this highly agile, technology-driven retail platform that's literally forcing every global competitor to completely rethink how they design, produce, and sell physical goods. SHEIN's biggest innovation wasn't inventing some new style of clothing. It was reinventing the actual timeline from an idea to a customer. Ultimately, the fastest company doesn't always win. The company that learns the fastest often does. By turning real-time internet behavior into a 10-day manufacturing pipeline, they proved that institutional learning speed is the ultimate competitive advantage in the modern digital economy. So, whether you admire their unprecedented digital strategy or you question the broader impacts of their hypergrowth model, it is absolutely impossible to ignore how this algorithm permanently changed an entire global industry. It leaves us with a pretty fascinating question. If algorithms can now dictate what we wear with a 10-day turnaround, what part of human creativity will data disrupt next? And that wraps up our explainer for today. I would love to hear your thoughts. Which companies should we analyze next? Are you interested in the hardware ecosystem of Apple? Maybe the timeless artificial scarcity of Rolex? The membership model of Costco? Or the logistical empire of Amazon? Comment your choice below and make sure to subscribe for more deep dive explainers. See you next time.